Are you hyped or what, bro?
I am, definitely am.
Better bandana?
Someone charged my phone. Where are you originally from, and where are we now?
Born and raised New York, Staten Island. We're on Staten Island right now. For the past about 16, 17 years, been doing Robots Will Kill. So the creation of the, I guess, iconic robot, the one that everybody knows, there have been transformations over the years. I mean, in the mid-90s, I was kind of working on more of a square head kind of robot. Then towards the end 90s and the beginning of 2000, the robot started taking its form, the more organic kind of, a little bit more human quality robot. Pretty much, I guess, with the launch of the website in 2001 is really when it really took its current shape and form. Influences and inspirations. To be honest, there's been tons over the years. When I was a kid, comic books and cartoons were huge, like Jim Davis and Gary Larson. Those guys were tremendous to me. Old Disney stuff was amazing. Nowadays, I pull more influence and inspiration out of the people I meet more than rather artists. Only because it's I felt like I've seen so many different artists over the years that they've all kind of become an influence, and it's just kind of all kind of one big feeling. So I think it's the feeling and the emotions that I get through friends and family that kind of the biggest inspirations right now. The name Robots Will Kill, where did it come from? Doing an art fellowship up in Johnson, Vermont, middle of nowhere, nothing going on there at all. We were just there to do art. That was in 1999. I was up there with a friend of mine, Chris Arini. He was working on his painting. And it was this huge painting of a cell phone. It was about 10 feet tall, and it was this just giant cell phone carrying around a little human to his ear, where his ear would be. And he was working on it, and he's like, "Yo, Chris, what do you think?" And I just look up, and I was doing stickers at the time of a different tag I was doing in character, and I was doing all these stickers, and I just look up, I go, "Ha! Robots will kill." And I just write it on all these stickers, and I would just go back to what I was doing. And that was 99. So I kind of put the name away for a little bit until the website. When I started working on the website and we put that together, I kind of knew it was a cool, rememberable kind of thing. It was just kind of stuck out. So the idea behind the name for me really came from this idea of when you do something so much, it just becomes robotic, and it just kind of kills your drive to do what it was. It could be art, it could be work, it could be 9 to 5. Even skateboarding and stuff like that. If you love doing it and you do it so much that you kind of lose the fun of why you did it, it just kind of killed why you started doing it. So that's really where my interpretation of the name came from. A lot of people, think it has to do with technology and all that stuff, and that's cool. Everybody has their own, outlook on it, and I appreciate that. Probably back in the day, when I was originally just doing straight graffiti kind of stuff, and when I was probably 13 to 15, probably just silly, regular beef kind of stuff, just over each other back and forth, but nothing major. Bunch of close calls, bunch of stupid calls. Actually, in high school one time, riding around with some friends, just doing some neighborhood bombing stuff in the middle of the day, stupid enough. Wound up getting on this high-speed car chase, doing some neighborhood bombing stuff in the middle of the day, stupid enough. Wound up getting on this high-speed car chase with people from the neighborhood, and the people basically came flying down this block, jumps out of a pickup truck with a 2x4, comes swinging at the car. I was with two other friends. Starts swinging the 2x4. We basically throw the car in reverse and do a freaking Starsky and Hutch 180 down a one-way street. It was crazy. It was actually a couple blocks from here. So finally, we're about to get on the expressway, but it was a Lexus. I remember this Lexus cuts us off And the guy said, "Oh, I only stopped you because you're driving like assholes." We wound up getting stopped, and they basically were gonna have us repaint the wall, and we agreed to it. And the cops were like, "Well, fine, you'll work it out with the neighborhood then. You're gonna repaint the wall. That's that." So the cops left. So basically, we were supposed to go back and paint the wall. We never did. Never got a phone call. So that was probably my favorite stupid chase story. Putting together shows and art shows and stuff like that, and kind of the motivation behind it. I mean, it's tough. I love doing it, and I'll be honest, the reward to come out of it is mostly the satisfaction of people walking away and saying thank you, well, that was an amazing show. I appreciate people of different art genres learning about other artists. Like when the website launched in 2001, it was great to think that a graffiti writer can find out about a photographer can find out about a fine artist. Like, it was just that intermingling of different art styles. It wasn't just about a graffiti scene or a street art scene, which didn't exist back then, but it was that exposure that I really appreciated. So doing the shows, it's not money, it's not fame, it's nothing like that. It's just about a good friend of mine who's an amazing artist getting to show next to almost like famous artists, just that commingling. Painting and drawing, I mean, the time I get to do drawing, I draw a lot on my ferry commute to the city. Then when I'm at work, I kind of do some post-it note sketches, stuff that just kind of keeps my brain active. Painting wise, I mean, murals I get to do, on weekends mostly, depending on availability. Canvas work, usually I get home from work about 7 o'clock at night, eat food with the family, got to do homework, whatever, and then I start painting about 10 o'clock at night, and then I finish around 3 a.m. is where I kind of cut it off. I wake up at 6 o'clock, I'm up at 6 a.m., I'm out the door by 7. My commute to work is 2 hours in, 2 hours home, so basically I sleep about 3 hours a night. Staying humble is kind of a thing, more like the idea of I've seen how other people are. And I'm not saying that other artists could be, assholes or whatever, but there's artists who won't, sign a black book for a kid, or won't give a kid a sticker, or even, the chance to collaborate with them. That's just something I could just never think of. I just think, everybody started out as a toy. Everybody started out as a joke, until you build up. Everybody deserves some kind of shot, And I think that's what kind of keeps me humble, because I know I worked my ass off to get where I'm at, but at the same time, I had people like Edge and Verse who, helped teach me stuff about paint and caps and all that stuff. So the mentality of being like an art star to me is kind of a joke. It's I've come across plenty of people who think that, their work is going to change lives and saves lives. That's cool. It might change somebody's view on something, but I'm not a doctor, I paint on surfaces, I draw on stickers, that's what I do. Support those who support you. It's something I just started tagging all of my social media stuff with, because it's just kind of the feeling that I have. I mean, you see a lot of these people who will support things because they think it's popular, or they support the next baloney street artist because they think they're going to be the next big thing. So for me, the support those, I don't necessarily know if I started it or if it's just something that it's kind of caught on, that other people in certain scenes have seen and kind of gravitated towards. In the street art scene, everybody's concerned about the next show or the next project, and they forget about the people who got them to that point. And that's really one of my pet peeves with it, and why I use that hashtag so much. Support those who support you. accomplishments in the art world that I would like to do. I don't necessarily know if there's anything specific. I mean, you know, it's amazing to show in galleries, it's amazing to do murals, it's amazing to do all this stuff. I think the only thing I would like to do is create some kind of figure that people can hold in their hands of the robot and really just like take it home and appreciate it. The aha moment of when I realize it's getting big. I still haven't had it. I have this mindset of there's always more and there's always could be better. And yeah, it's amazing to do like certain things, but I think it's funny that certain people ride waves and you know, like whether it's painting in the World Trade Center. Yeah, that was fantastic, but that was last year. This is this year. Next year's next year. Keep moving forward. Don't just dwell on that amazing accomplishment. Top 3 graffiti artists of all times, and 3 that I'd like to see in the Blackbook Diaries. Let's see. As far as like bombing wise, I think MQ is by far one of my favorites. Just the stuff he's done. His approach to it was different than a lot of the generic kind of graffiti stuff. Piecing wise, one of my favorites growing up, and still is just because of letter form and stuff like that. It would actually kind of be a tie between Edge and Verse. Not only were they a huge influence on me as a kid, Verse to this day is still doing amazing stuff, and Edge is just a good dude who's been an inspiration. You know who? The DF crew. The whole crew, every member in that crew, amazing influence and amazing artists. Emit, Sub, Gaze, Took, Scribe, Jive, East, all those guys, amazing, still killing it. I mean, when I went out to Colorado this year, I had a chance to meet some of them and just get, almost like positive messages back to them about my work. That just put me over the moon. Hearing that was crazy. Three people I'd like to see on here. I would say MQ, because I would love to hear just some insight on his stuff. Who else? Like piecing wise, right now there's a lot of like really good stuff out there. Well, Flying Fortress from Germany, I mean, he's one of my favorite artists. I just think he's brilliant. Third person, it'd have to be, it would never happen, but it would have to be Revs, just because of the elusiveness of him and just the folklore and just the work he's put in, and even if it's just like a random scratch, it could be better than somebody's 20 fill-ins they've done. He's just got great work, and it's got a lot more meaning to it than I think a lot of other people have. The advice I would give to, quote-unquote street artists, do it because you love it. Do it because you actually have a reason to do it, not because you're trying to get some quick fame or an in. Dark times and feeling hopeless in the artwork. Yeah, I mean, I guess my work has a lot of kind of like tongue-in-cheek kind of meaning and little like kind of emotional stuff. As far as like a dark time or like something like that, I don't know. I mean, I was kind of grew up as somewhat of an outsider, and skateboarding instead of playing football, doing graffiti instead of going to like the writing club, listening to punk rock and hardcore music when everybody else was listening to freestyle and TKA music, and I think that helps drive the work. When you're in stuff like hardcore and stuff like that, the music had more of a meaning to it than a stupid like love song or something like that. So a lot of that does come, I think, out in my work. I have friends that are more like family than family that are family, I love spray paint. I love markers. Those would be two that, like, acrylic paint is what I use mostly. Acrylic paint, watercolors are great, printmaking's great. Sitting and doing stickers, just using different paint markers on stickers, that's a medium that I just love doing. Favorite markers to use, the oil-based Sharpies, I love them. I love the Crink markers. I think Crink markers are great for stuff. Spray paint, I love Montana, Belton. I mean, both of them are really great. The Montana Gold and the Montana Black, I think, are my favorite. Like, there's this industrial marker called, I think it's Artline. That's a really, really good, solid marker. With that statement, it's just because I see people who kind of ride a project for so long, and that's cool. You gotta get on the next project, though. Don't forget the last project, but know that you got to the next project because of that last project, and there's more to go. You know, there's things that I look back on and I think is pretty insane that I got to be a part of. Stuff that I appreciate still. Doing the stuff in World Trade 4. World Trade Center Tower 4 was amazing. Doing stuff at the Spotify offices multiple times was amazing. But I think like the wall that I just kind of like feel like was an amazing wall that I did was me, ECB, and Venge did a wall out in Bushwick. Because that wall, so basically ECB, Hendrick, he mapped out the font of Robots Will Kill. And then me and Venge went back into it and we filled the letters with other text and characters and everything. And that wall is one of my favorites because there's been so many comments of that wall. I've gotten photographers angry at me for that wall being painted over. And I think that's why it's my favorite. That wall evoked an amazing emotion from people. And it made people want to come to the area to get pictures of it. Something about me that people either haven't asked or isn't out there. I wish I went to school to be a veterinarian. Because animals are just awesome and they're better than people. My big thing is I didn't want to have to put animals down. Right. That's what would have killed me. It's kind of funny seeing social media. Starting a website in 2001, before there really was any websites. First off, there was no social media back then. Friendster, MySpace, all that stuff was years later, you know. So, it's creating this website that showed people, you know, graffiti that was on New York to people in Japan, and Japan to Brazil, all these places. I thought it was amazing. I always loved like the graph mags, and I used to go down to, you know, the graph shop and buy them. And I think it's funny seeing it go from like a website like, you know, Robots Will Kill, Pure Graffiti, or Art Crimes, 6 Sense, like all those things, to like an app on your phone. I don't know, it's kind of a little disheartening in ways because it desensitizes. Wow. And it also creates the ability for somebody to go take a picture in their backyard and make it look like they're bombing the streets. People's Instagram, and they can have thousands of followers, you know, and they're posting things like tags they caught in a bathroom, and they try to like, you know, portray it as something more than that. This is kind of crazy to me. Any shout outs? Well, friends and family just in general. You know, naming people is difficult because I know I'm going to forget people. But, you know, right off the bat, I mean, art-wise, Venge, Rega, Flying Fortress, ECB, Mike Dye, Jesse R, Over Under, PETA. All these guys are great, you know, artists that need to be checked out. As far as like adding like what you guys could add to it, I think you guys are on a good start. You know, I think it's, you know, it's great to see what's going to be done. So as far as thank yous, I have to give a special thank you, a lot of credit to Kevin from Robots Will Kill, because I met Kevin in 2000 and he really helped me, you know, put together the whole idea, and one of the major driving forces behind, you know, the whole thing, and getting the website together and launching the website. And he was really the brains behind, you know, all the technical aspects and everything of it. So, you know, Kevin, you know, appreciate it.